Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Good morning. Let's pull up the links. So I know people don't show up until we post the links. Let's do that. There's that. There's that. What do we got on the slate today? Core durable goods. Important number. Ooh, Fed Chair Powell speaks at 8. That's gonna make things difficult. Okay. So, what we got going on here is we did have our down move yesterday. Wasn't very much. It was a pretty shitty day, but we did get our move down and we're a little bit lower. And I'm thinking that we might have an even stronger move down beneath the lows, possibly. But we do have news in 20 minutes, so don't want to get too excited. On the E-mini side, let's just pull over the volume profile here. You know, was actually, we had a good move up and then it came back. Now we are moving higher in the pre-session, but I don't know. So it seems like people are still a little skittish about the trade war stuff. We'll see what happens. It looks like they're breaking out to the upside there. So I kind of see too, I think it's going to move down. So I think that scenario 1 is we're going to move up, we're going to hit a wall, and then we're going to move down. I think scenario 2 is we have an opening drive down and it goes to the next step. And, you know, scenario 3 is that we just have an opening drive up and maybe risk on and we move up a little bit. And then of course scenario 4 is going to be it's gonna come down and it's gonna come back up, right? And I think that one's the least likely to happen. Bitcoin up just a tinge, but it's looking kind of negative. I don't know. Maybe some covering going on right there. So it was moving up for a bit and then it really picked up. So I think that there was a bit of a short squeeze there. So there's that. Impossible to trade 1K daily loss over 5 lots in ZN? No way. Super easy, dude. Super easy. With 5 lots. No problem. Okay, well, I didn't finish my food. I don't know why, but I'm just having a hard time choking down the food this morning. So I'm going to do that and we'll have the news here in a little bit.
The one thing we're watching right now is how much longer this bull market can actually.
We really got some short volume in the 5-year there.
Just adds up then. Just time. Durable goods orders looking for a -1%. X transportations 5%. X defense sense what for non-defense cap good leading off spot 5% and ship not looking.
It'd be okay if I got filled here, but we got the news coming up. Otherwise, this would be great, you know. Vortex down. Let's wait until the news happens.
1 minute. -10 seconds. -1.7%, X transport spot 2%, X defense -1%, cap goods non-defense X air 1 spot 4%, ship non-defense X air spot 9%. We do have some revisions for the durable goods, the price being revised downward to spot 7%, X transport price being revised downward to 1%, X defense the price being 1 spot percent, cap goods non-defense the price upward by spot percent, and cap goods ship non-defense air prior has been 2% prior of.
Okay, well, those numbers were pretty bad. So the news is bad. The risk looks a lot right. I'm taking along. I'm doing it mostly based off of the news. The flow, when it happened, was up. It's actually still up, but we have come back, so let's not get too hasty. Seems like so I really hate it when you get a pull. I mean, this happens in the summer market all the time, right? But you get a pull, and the numbers, are out of line with expectations, and it doesn't really go. The liquidity just comes back. I do think though that we should move up. So they could try and move it against me 2 ticks and stop me out, obviously. We're just taking that risk, but I really think that the news was poor and that we should move up. So we just set it and see if it goes.
Saying from Beds Mester saying I've been upping closer to % for the third quarter growth. Mester saying third quarter growth is coming in strong so far. Fiscal policy. So just Beds and a year. Fed's message saying path.
Yeah, in this situation about the profile, well, I think it's interesting that you say lower prices are accepted and the higher less. So I think you're talking about this skew there that 155 has been more accepted than 165. But I mean, I'm buying below
Fed's message
the
saying
profile.
that's our target policy.
Yeah, it went down. So I think anything,
Path.
if we're gonna stay relatively range bound today, I think anything below here is a good buy. But I know. I think that they're reacting to what the guy on CNBC is saying more than the news.
Mester goes on to say, gradual rate hike path seems appropriate. Mester goes on to say, fiscal stimulus effect will wane in 2019. Says we see some risks, but not excesses. More from Mester saying she interest rate at 3%. She goes on to say, trying to calibrate rate path.
Yeah, I think that the mistake we made here is we didn't know somebody was talking on CNBC. They're,
Hearing from you, Secretary
it's mattering.
Harris haven't responded. Sorry, that was State's. Mr. goes on to say the very compelling case of Fed action. Put in all comments on.
Well, I think for me, it's probably appropriate to let it go and not mess with it until she's done talking or we have a pushback up.
Mester has now concluded, but which is
Okay.
rather interesting. Mester said, "Economy offers very case of action."
Okay, well that 5 at 13 is not pulling out of the way. They may plow through it. Oh, it pulled out of the way. Well, a little bit more resistance here at 12.5. I think there's a possibility that they stop here, turn around and fill in that gap at 14. Nope. Shouldn't say like there's a chance like not a trade there or anything. But now that they're absorbing here, there's going to be somewhere around here that they're going to pivot and come back up. But I think that if you tried taking the long, they probably would stop you out before it does it. So I think it's better to wait for it to do it. So let's see, even more absorbed at 12. It's just kind of hard to fade this because, you know, they could do that for a couple more prices. It's really hard, I think, to predict within 2 ticks where it's going to stop at. If we had taken the short, so I don't think that there's any way for me to have taken the short. I mean, let me take that back. You could have. I did say you could short at 16, right? I was like, well, you could short, but it's the news. And then after that, it sold. I don't. I didn't know that they were talking about it. So that's a solid, what, 6+ ticks. It's a pretty significant volume, and you are seeing the 5 years is pushing back up pretty aggressively. Yeah. So the place I'm looking for it to happen maybe is at 14. Okay. So you notice that these offers are not, we're not just pushing out of the way. They traded 3,000 there. They actually absorbed quite a bit at 13 as well. So what I want to see is I want to see a lot of people getting long in here and then nobody wanting to go for 14, 14.5.
US news here. US to sanctions Russia for chemical agent use.
Okay. So I'm just noting on the longer term profile that ZN and ZB both came within 1 tick of the support from the 21st. So like Monday, Tuesday. But the 5-year went well beyond it. So that's a possible indicator that there's more down to come. Okay. Why 135 and not 145? Well, why 145 and not 135? So the reason I picked 135 is because I knew there was a really good chance that they were going to tick 14 and not get through it. I will show you how I knew that. See that little gap there on the 1 minute chart? So when they went through 14 and 13.5, nothing traded into 14 is what that means. That means that they traded this and then they traded this and they got nothing. And when we get those are very often the spots that they come back to and stop at. So that's how I made that calculation. So I was watching, I wanted to see them come up to 14 and then not be going for it. Now it's probably going to fiddle around here a little bit because they're going to make it look like it's going to go through, because there's going to be guys that want to go short at 14, and they could do it. I mean, it can happen.
Getting information across Mexico here. Mexico Q at 2%. Yeah.
Well, let me give Trader the regular permissions too, by the way, because you've asked a lot of questions. Did that make sense, Trader?
Spot 2% down.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is all like a really great, well thought out strategy that will make you profitable in the long term or anything. That's just how I look at it. Well, there is kind of like that step in the profile at 14 too, right? I mean, based on how things have been going for me lately, they'll come back on me. But I have to say, you know, when I hit into it, I hit it with a market order, and now we've got 13 offer. Couldn't ask for much better of a reaction on your entry. So we really like that. And I don't know, I'm not very good at the volume profile bit. I'm working on it, but there's definitely a lot of things that I just don't seem to catch. Well, one thing I will note is that it appears to me that we're building volume at 13. So if the volume profile is like this, and we think that it's going to go further, you want to be short anywhere above 13. 13.5 so far is the only place that you would have been able to do that. Well, the thing that makes this hard is that if we do get our move, the level 2 in rhythmic looks screwed up. Okay, so they are thickening up at 12. Well, maybe I should be trying to take 2 and not 4, but I think they're going to go through this 12. I don't know. This is going to be a tough call. But we've seen this a couple of times and seen it gone through this week, haven't we? It's been pretty inconsistent, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I've been thinking about this particular situation in particular a lot lately, because in my mind, like, it's definitely a thing, and it's definitely always ends up being a key turning point. But it just seems like there's been so many times where we go there and you bounce, and so like I took a long off of it, and then it came back and went through it. It takes them some time, but they do it. Okay, so he sees one at 8. It's interesting. In ZB, it's 05. So I think we could get a tick down in ZB, and then we can see how that 05 behaves. It kind of already looks like it's pulling. Yeah, it completely pulled. Wow. And the 12 completely pulled too. Okay.
Fed's Mester now speaking on Bloomberg, saying case for raising interest rates pretty compelling.
Why is he going on Bloomberg now?
Mester goes on to say, I think Powell will discuss long and short run issues. yield curve is certainly something we are looking at.
Good, because the yield curve really concerns me.
Allowed earlier comments on the yield curve.
There you go. Well, this order here is just to catch a rush, so if it goes through here, I'm pulling it down.
More from Mr. here saying yield curve may not be signaling.
I mean, so this is a good point. I wish we were listening in right now. Okay.
Energy news. We are seeing crude future 10 gains. WTI up over $1. Barrel.
I think we're gonna go more, but they keep trying to make it look like it's over and to get people to go along there. You know, like they were showing 6 over 6, I think. You know. And you can see it in the 5-year as well. Anyways, but I think what they're talking about is that right now bonds are well above par. They're well above par. Gosh dang it, news guy, stop talking. we're well above par. Like this is 120, right? And historically, we're going to be, you know, after such a long bull run, in particular, we're going to be below 100, and that gives holding a bond what we call a negative carry. So what that means is, like, if you buy a 30-year bond and it's above, you paid more for it than what it was worth, and then you looked at what that 30-year bond was going to be like the day before it ends. The day before it ends, it's going to be 100. Okay, like that's par. And so when they say it has a negative carry, that means that over time the value of the bond tends to go down as you hold it, and you only make money off of the interest, right? So when you have that kind of a situation, it gives you an incentive maybe to hold the shorter term ones, doesn't it? That makes sense? And so that's where the curve is going to be a little bit flatter because of the negative carry. And I think that's what they're saying. I know that was a little disjointed because he keeps interrupting me, and I'm a little scatterbrained, but I hope that made sense. I think it was Yellen was the first person that alerted me to this idea, but they're saying that the yield curve is going to be flatter because of a negative carry, and that could increase the chances of an inverted yield curve. And some people are trying to argue that, well, the curve could invert and it wouldn't be as big of a deal as it was in the past because they're just showing that it's a negative carry. I'm not so convinced by that particular part of the argument. I think that if we invert, it's going to be bad. inverted yield curve creates an economic incentive to go into treasuries that is bad for the overall economy. Well, I sure don't like that 12.5 pulling a little bit. And that 15, that 11.5 rather, that 11.115 is flashing a 7.5. I would hope so. Now the problem is again, we saw this yesterday, didn't we? And I was actually long 12.5, and I think that we even got to like 13, and then it came back, and then when it came back, all those people at 11.5 pulled. So it can be an edge. I'd have to say 7,500 is pretty significant, and there's a chance it turns around. At least it increases the chances that it pulls around. But
It isn't right to overreact to inflation above goal.
And now on the tariff thing, this is really interesting, right? This is the thing that concerns me the most. Tariffs are going to raise the price of goods, right? And so far it has been raising the price of goods, except for soybeans, because who are we going to sell the soybeans to? So demand has been weakened, and the price of soybeans goes down. And so what you end up happening is tariffs often have the opposite intended effect, and it causes prices to go down, and then we run into a deflationary spiral, and that's where tariffs can cause a recession. So it's good that prices are going up. We would rather have prices go up than down. I mean, the intention of tariffs is to make prices go up. But then, you know, the price is going up, the inflation, and then they have to raise rates, and that's bad for the economy. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, isn't it? Tariffs definitely concerning.
Tech glitch. I'm banking card payments. Really not affecting the share price. Hey, heads up that Fed Mister has commodity news. Commerce Bank lowering its gold price forecast for $1,000. Still expects gold to rise in 2015 to 1,500.
This trade might come back and force me to break even, and I'll be really mad about it. But this is the best positioning I've had all week. Like, I think it's going to go through that 11.5. I don't know for sure, but I think that there's enough of a chance of it doing it that it's worth holding. And because we got in with the right risk, we can comfortably sit here and watch it do it. And, you know, can probably still get +1 if it really goes awful. Probably shouldn't say that. I'd probably jinx it and make me break even or take a loss, but I really like the positioning. Okay, so now 120 is looking stronger as well. It's at 5. Though the 30-year has been looking pretty negative on that move down the all of them made a new low there. Okay, 115 was a new low, but the 5-year in particular really made a new low.
European equity news here. Shire's HAE club likely to be priced about $300,000 a year, RBC says.
Now, interestingly enough, 145.05 is the key level to hold in John's notes. But he's waiting for Powell to speak at the top of the hour. See, now 04 is bid.
Some geopolitical news. I'm just hearing from the UK Defence Minister saying fighter jets.
Now that offer is getting strong.
Russian maritime patrol aircraft path over Black Sea towards airspace on Thursday.
I think that's the fastest I've ever seen that 7,000 contracts hit. They literally just a flood all at once. And that offer continues to be high. That 7,000 is getting a little lower, guys. Yep. Holy shit. You see the offer now, it was at 7 and now it's at 6 in the 30-year. Oh, we need to increase our cumulative delta over here. I don't know why it always goes back down. Fix that, Jigsaw. Okay, well, 115 is thickening back up. Yeah. I think we have to take that. Shit. Now it's 8. Those bits are suspiciously high. So they're selling 12.5 now. Buyers are catching it for now. We're right at where the 5-year might turn around. 30 years, 4-tick pullback. So it's kind of like everything looks long, but it's just not quite triggered it. Some big selling there in the 10-year that did not follow through. E-mini looks pretty strong before the open, to be honest. This is another thing, is this right here, just before equity open, seems odd to me. Is that a warning that maybe they're not going to buy on the open? And look, there they go. I bought. Some people are fading it now. Ooh, they're really going to fade it out at 28.65. Buyers one. Man, that kind of buying is like, I think we should close the week on highs. That's a little bit much. And 69.17 at 12.5, that's a bit much. And I'm kind of have to wonder who and then the seller still pushes it down at 13. two prices at 8K. I don't know. Okay, they're not pulling it at 12 yet. No, the E-mini just keeps going. And they're fighting against some pretty heavy volume there in the E-mini too. This is exciting. Yeah. So I think I should take the +2 because this is starting to get a little crazy. There was really strong buying on the open in the E-mini, but when you look at how far they made, it was not a lot of progress.
Currently, Fed Kaplan speaking on TV.
Here we go. It's so close that there's a chance that on live I would have gotten filled by now. Him.
Comments now from Kaplan again speaking on Bloomberg TV that the Fed should be moving rates toward.
Please, sir, I want to fill. That probably didn't sound right. I'm not going to make that joke again. That was a poor joke. So this is going to suck because they're going to sweep me. Oh no, hey, good deal, Okay, can breathe. That was a little intense, guys. That was making me nervous. Like, there's a chance. I mean, look, they're 1248. Okay, there's a big iceberg there, and they've been iceberging there at 12.5 for a while. There is a chance that they tick through that. Maybe it shows 10K, and then all of a sudden the people at 12 and 15 go like, you know what? We don't like this anymore, and it just goes through. That could totally happen. And so, so how can we deal with that? We can put a stop limit in there. Okay. But it might hold too. It's so intense. And look at the buying in the E-mini. I think I can. How do I change it? Yes, I want this to be more like 2300. Okay. Now, I want to try the stop thing, but I also, another way of doing this is that the way I would normally do this is be offering out at 12.5. Or hopefully have kept that one, but that was just way too intense for me, guys. That's a good signal that we could stop here. And so I think it's appropriate for me to get out, and it was stressing me out. But if this 12 pulls, if they eat through this 12, then I want to go short. So the question is how much is going to absorb 12.5 on the way back up. If there's like more than 3,000, then somebody's setting up a level break. Zerv, you've got a good point that they're now showing up in the 30-year as well there. And frankly, you could consider these ones in the 5-year as well. Okay. This this seller is big. Yep.
The new and Treasuries reflecting the Fed's rate expectations, while the long end curve showing.
Yeah, are you watching right now, Zerf? Or listening? Did you see how I got filled there?
Very strong.
Well, there it is. You could go short 120 now. Oh, man. Hmm. Well, it's not a. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad trade.
Speaking of goods now, that's triple B minus financial crisis. Minutes time now till we hear from Fed Chair Powell at the Jackson Hole Symposium. Looking at the title of the speech, we'll be discussing monetary policy in a changing economy at the Kansas City Fed Annual Policy Symposium. Text of the speech will be released top of the hour, but no Q&A. Barclays looking for guidance, and Fed is up to you. Pricing Fed to hike 3. It's rising to. Even the Fed is likely to hike at a faster pace.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know, it happens. It was fun. What happened to my profit window? That's not right. I lost one, I won one, I lost one. That should be -2. But it's not showing that. There we go. Okay. One, two, three, four. If ZB takes 8, then I'll flip. Look at what's going on in the 5-year. Well, I know that last one didn't work, but if they do it again, I want it, so.
priced from 150. It's been tracking up.
Hmm. Whoops. Well, now I don't. I was just watching this iceberg at 07 and thinking, well, ZB's not going to let it get over there. Just curious what's going on here at 220.
While again, title of this from each rate 9%, Fed's meeting estimate 5% for PC inflation, and confident that while a rest in strong and risk balanced, is for continued gradual increase. Ahead of by what's been priced in December, marking pricing in 5% like December.
Okay. Iceberg at 13 is a little let's see, be ticked down. How come that one's not showing up as that's kind of weird. Okay. I see what's going on here.
4 minutes ago.
Let me fix your there you go. Need a larger downside move in stocks to trigger a bond rally now. Yeah.
10 seconds to go.
So is this going to be one where they release his comments all at once?
Further interest rate hikes likely appropriate if strong income and job growth continue. Gradual rate hikes navigating risks of going too slowly versus too fast. Fed seeing no clear sign of inflation accelerating above 2%. There does not seem to be elevated risk of overheating. Economy is strong, inflation near the 2% goal. Most who want a job can find one. Confident the Fed could do whatever it takes should inflation expectations shift or a crisis threaten. Fed can best
Block
support
by.
progress and long-run structural issues for the economy by following its mandate. Further interest rate hikes likely appropriate if strong income and job growth continue. Gradual rate hikes navigating risk of going too slowly versus too fast. Equity news there as well. Cigna holders approving the Express Scripts purchase. Seem to be elevated risk of overheating. Gradual hikes likely appropriate if growth is staying strong.
84 in Q. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh shit. Well, it's useless now. If it gets back down there, it's going to go through it. Okay, well, are you not entertained? Fuck. I mean, I totally had it right, and but man, especially that block buy at 115 was not something that I was expecting to see, not at all.
Comments from Fed's dollar per there. Treasury yield declining slightly.
Not seeing elevated risk of overheating. That might be a reason to go long. We'll do what it takes if inflation expectations drift. Well, does that make me -4? Shit.
Triple plus stable outlook.
It's gonna be fun to watch this afterwards because like when I heard that block buy, did I buy it like immediately or did I hesitate? You know, how close was I actually to getting filled there? Man. Well, there was some mistakes there too. I should have moved my stop to break even. I should have been expecting that there would be, you know, a move and that there might be some craziness around there, you know? Okay, so at 15 half, there's going to be some resistance. Sorry, not 15 half, like 16 half. Between 15 half and 16 half.
Up on a Reuters sources piece, Brussels and EU deal on embarking Mediterranean migrants ship in Italian port. Pending deal on disembarking migrants from ship in Italian port. Got a threat from it now yesterday saying there's no deal. Pulled out funding.
You notice the big order at 15? Awesome. Okay. Whoa. looks like we could have gotten a little bit closer to the edge there. Hmm. Okay. It's kind of funny we've had these sorts of things. So like there's some liquidity, We go through it and then we go up. We go through it and then we go up. So it's like they're going through the liquidity, but then it bounces afterwards. And so because I'm going in with because I'm stopping into it, doesn't work. Well, 16.5 is being more of a pill than... so at least they got that right, but it looks to me like they're going to go through it. That one should have been winner. So now, with where we're at and everything, I'd say it's time to quit today. It's funny that even the first one was a bad one, right? That one was just okay. I mean, that was an error. That one could have been +4, right? And that one could have been plus.
On the preliminary schedule, the Urals
Oh, that one was bad.
reports 4.9 million tons in September, so of 5.4.
That one should have been a winner. And that one, I guess I shouldn't have taken that one. This came back much further than I thought it would for sure. I thought when this came down here, I thought, okay, I need to get out and let it come back up to 14 or so again and then sell it. And they just blew right through it. And you can see them selling it there, 16.5.
Business news.
Okay, the 18 is starting to build up a little bit. I don't know about this. See, Rand Squawk says Powell comments on inflation suggest that we'll wait and see rather than continue to tighten once the Fed hits neutral, adding that that's a potential watershed for financial markets. I think that's a key tweet. Well, nothing too significant happening at 18. The E-mini still looks pretty strong. I don't know. Oh wait, what was that? I look away for a second and it stopped runs three ticks. See, my chart doesn't even actually show that it touched 18.5. I wonder if I refresh this. Yeah, that's weird. Okay. I'm getting some iceberging here in the 5-year as well. Good deal. Not good deal. Hmm.
We're just getting the Atlanta Fed GDP coming in at 4.59%. That's part of 5% for the third quarter. Again, that's the Atlanta Fed GDP now model coming in at 4.59% from 5% for.
That's bullish. So a quarter of a percent raise in GDP out of Atlanta. Why is it always at 2? They must have a pact. Seth can never be allowed to have more than two ticks profit. And if he does get it, we have to flip it on its head. Well, when he's trying to let it run. Iceberg theory 17. It was weak, and then there was an iceberg. The 5U ticked up, this thickened up. Note that it's the overnight or the opening range high that they're having trouble coming back down through. $8.30. You are getting a bit of a counter trend, you know, and it started around 8:15. Trying to hold it, but the 5-year looks negative. Of course. Okay. 5-year balanced out a little bit. The 30-year has been flat through here, by the way. Well, my theory here is that if we're trading into 16.5 now, we have to trade into it, but then we should trade to the other side of this. But I don't know, this iceberg doesn't look good, does it? So I don't know why I'm not taking 2 ticks. Maybe I'm not thinking right here, and I really want something, I really want a trade to be more than 2 ticks, I think is what's going on. If I had just been taking 2 ticks through here, I would have done a lot better today, wouldn't I? But I also think if I put a bid in there right there like that they're gonna trade through it. Okay. I mean, he still looks good. Look at that. Keep on pushing my equity, friends. Yes, sir. There you go. I like that tick.
Record highs. 7,009.
Flip. Hitting the level 2. Good down tick. Going to look to take a profit here because the 5-year is almost back to where it was in cumulative delta.
some OPEC members. Italian political from ANSA calling for share the burdens. Again, that's support earlier the Italian call share the migrant.
It just keeps going. Okay, well that time, so the auction doesn't appear finished in the E-mini, but it's definitely slowed down, and we're definitely getting the bubbles and the resistance showing up against us and everything. Yeah. Well, that doesn't look good. Okay. 1840 pushed it back down. You see, right now you've got these bits that they don't want to move. Is the E-mini gonna have another push? I mean, they're kind of eyeing it, but there was some profit taking there. It's 27.10 at 28.73. My dogs are always trying to sound as pathetic as possible. I think that the shorts and the E-mini are trying a little too hard here. Like they sold quite a bit, almost half of what the whole up move was, and we're still like one tick off of the high. So a lot of people just bought their 2873 even. So a couple of people trying to prevent a new high. He thinks. There, they did it. Some stops. Did you see that? The level 2 actually flipped around here as the E-mini was moving up there. Okay. Well, I ended up getting 2 anyways. Well, that sucks, guys. Okay, let's post it at the notes first, and then we'll review these trades.
Testify before. Recap that you German rising crop is said German proposal.
Okay. So what was I didn't hear what they were saying about Cohen there.
Towards now, Ireland's Donnery is said candidate for.
Anyways, my dashboard, I do gotta get going though. Sucks. So what did I get? Overall 78.
Donnery is said to be a candidate.
Well,
Advisory make.
we lost less today than we did yesterday. But it's been a shitty week, hasn't it? Especially that 22nd was full tilt. And you know what? Looking back on it now, because on Wednesday my head really hurt after trading. But I got a really good night's rest last night, so I think that probably had a lot to do with what was going on. So I'm not going to make notes on all of these, but this one that I made 31 on it, that I took at 135, I want to do in, followed my trade, kind of didn't fill, yes. Oh, and where did it? Yes, that's right.
That's the Express Scripts uploaded.
So this one, I mean, obviously I should have managed it better, and I could have done much better than I did. So I think that that's okay, right? And then this other one that I lost 2 on.
Starting the plant line at site of 200,000 barrel Hill Shearing is oil refinery in Germany.
Was it this one? No, it was this one, that 130. And this one was news. Yes. No. So I'm going to rate this as a good trade, because even though it was a loss, I mean, it was just so very much there on the edge, you know? So those are the ones, the big ones. And then the first loser, which was a buy, where is it? Yes, this one right here. This one was also news. So I'm gonna say it didn't follow my plan because it was an error. I didn't know that what was going on. No. Okay. And the rest I can fill in later because I gotta go, and I don't really have much to say on the rest of them. One of them was like, this one I think I shouldn't have taken. This one was great, and it just didn't go. Once again, it just didn't go. It's happening a lot, isn't it? But it's summer, so you know, that's the way it goes. Oh, would you like to see the whole month and see how awful it is? I think August is just an awful month to trade, man. Oh, no, wait, that's not what we want. We want the dashboard, right? So if I go to the month, it's pretty awful this month. Is that it? So if I come over here, I have to come over here for a second so that I'll show you like everything back to like what's relevant, okay? Oh, I went too far. To August, okay. And then I have to do only the CN trades to filter out the experiments. Okay. So you can see here's the things on my stats. So I do a lot better on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday than I do on Fridays and Mondays for some reason. Those are like my tilt days. And when you look at how much I lose on Monday and Friday, if I just took those out overall on the whole thing, I would probably be overall profitable. But you can see here, I had a really, really great run here through the first of the year. And if I had been trading a combine, that would have made it, assuming I was trading more than one contract. So it did really good. And then April was okay. But then halfway through April, I just started tilting. So then we kind of had some range bound markets and summer trading, which I suck at. And then I think I'm tilting a little bit still. And I think I've been trading different strategies and trying to figure out some ways to deal with things. You can see here though in August, so I changed the way that I was looking at risk, and I think I stabilized a little bit. This week right here, I have not been getting rest, and I've been stressed out, and like the summer market it's been stressing me out, dude. It messes with your head. So I think that's kind of what that is. So this right here, so here's what I say is like, okay, this was good. This was, okay, this strategy is good, but it needs some work. This was experimentation. This is possibly I found something, but because it's in the summer, we kind of have to disregard it. So we kind of have to keep doing what we're doing through September, and then at the end of September we can look and see if our adjustments that we've made are good, or if we need to change things again. So I'm going to give it another month before I change things. But just so you know, because I know I'm not everybody that's in here that's watching right now is been with us from the beginning, right? But so we just got to make it clear that's what the performance is, and I'm not streaming this and saying that I'm some expert and you should follow me, right? It's just a record, and people like to watch it, so that's great. We'll do that, and I enjoy doing it, and I love talking to you guys, and having you guys watch is really helpful too. So, but just so you know, I feel like I've made some changes to the system, but we haven't had the chance to really see if those changes really fix things or not. So we want to avoid this right here. Well, not this, because this was the summer, right? But we want to avoid this bit right here. So this should have been a little bit come back, and then, you know, that's what we wanted. And maybe there should have been a little bit, like right around here, we should have been going up a little bit, and then this should have been just flat, you know? But look, I've just had some tilty. I've been trading poorly. There's no way around it. We come back down here. I think I can come down here. Yes. Yeah. So you can see before, when I was doing well, I was actually trading above 50%, and now during this most recent time period, I'm only seeing like 30%. Now, winners versus losers. You know, I wish I had more time, because then I could show you the time, like the comparison between the two. So when you look at like MFE versus MAE, you can see I'm actually pretty good. Well, I mean, it is better. I'm getting better winners than losers. But this used to be above 3. And that's where my strategy starts to get killed. Does that make sense? So like if the MFE is between 3 and 4, then I start to do well. And when it's not, then I just get pummeled. Right? Today, we had a couple of trades that could have been 4, and I just didn't quite get them. But that's why I did a lot better today than past days. And then where's the average winner and loser? Oh, average winner 42, average loser 41. So it's been like the problem that I had before. And I will show you on this right here. I'll show you what I would have done. On this one, I probably still would have lost this first one. And then when it came back down here, I would maybe miss this and be trying to sell it right here and not getting it. So that's where the change that I've made is that I'm seeing the risk and I'm saying I have to take it within 1 to 2 ticks. So I knew there was a chance of it coming up to here, and I was able to sell 13.5. That's the change that I've made that's really good. Okay. Missed this one. I actually had the right trade here because I took it at 13. So again, the risk was right. It just didn't go. This one, risk was right. Didn't get enough out of it. Maybe I should have reversed there. Anyways, is that you got anything else before we go? So it should be going. But yeah, the whole thing is that the problem with the strategy before was that I was getting runners pretty good, but I was not getting the risk reward right. So it was always like I lost more on my losers than I should have, because I wasn't getting the best price. So now that I'm getting the best price, and I hope that we can get back to some of the action that I had before, and if I'm able to get back into the action and still get the right price, then, you know, I'm hoping that winner and loser will go change by a tick. You know, okay, I want 2 more on the winners and 1 less on the losers. You know.
Block sell.
Well, I think it's over, guys. I'm surprised that they're still trading it. See, like this move right here, has it really been that long? It has. This move right here, delta flat. And now it's equalized. Interesting. Yep. All right. I gotta go.